Hey everyone, my name is Ash and I am back with another members exclusive YouTube video. Big shout out to our members on the channel. You guys support us in more ways than you can imagine. So today I'm going to be doing a quick tier list of the Xbox 360 launch games. Now, the 360 launched in 2006 and it came with a variety of games available right out of the gate. Now, looking at this list, I can tell you I've played pretty much all of them, which is good for doing a tier list. I'm going to jump in and just work our way through them. First off though, I'm going to sort of bin off the ones that I wouldn't say were great. So FIFA 06, Tiger Woods, and they were all the sports games basically. They were just the annual yearly re-releases. There's nothing terrible about them as such. They just, nothing stands out, nothing says they're great or anything like that. No one ever goes, God, do you remember NHL 2K6? No, we don't. So they're all getting stuck there because they weren't terrible games. There's just nothing, like I say, nothing outstanding about them. So we're going to jump in straight away with Amped 3. Now this is a snowboarding game. It's awesome. It goes in the awesome category. I wish they'd make a sequel. It was such a good little snowboarding game. It had like that fun, cool aesthetic, the sort of like over the topness and everything. Kind of like a SSX game, a bit more grounded, but it just had that cool air to it. And I'm just sad they never did any more with it. So next up is Call of Duty 2. Superb. In my opinion, my favourite Call of Duty game. Such a good game. Oh my god, when you first started this game on the 360, you've got to think back then, yeah, the graphics weren't the best they were in the series or anything like that, but they were at the time, and this was all looked absolutely fantastic. Looked amazing, looked great, played great, had amazing multiplayer. Chef's kiss. One of my favourite 360 games all in. Like I say, absolutely fantastic. Now, I can tell you this list is slightly wrong here because PGR4 wasn't a release game. I'm looking at it right now. PGR3 was, but PGR4 was not. So PGR3 is superb. It's an amazing, a phenomenal racing game. Absolutely fantastic, like one of the best. Ridge Racer 6 was not so great. Like I say, it's going in the brilliant category. Now, I have not created this list, as with all the other tier lists I've been doing so far. These have been created by other people on tiermaker.com, so you can check stuff out like that. I'm not really following the rankings. Superb, awesome, brilliant. Can't think of anything dirt quality. Like, to me, it's going superb, awesome, okay. Can't really think of anything to say, and dirt quality basically. So Ridge Racer 6 wasn't that great in my opinion. Nothing to write home about. Wouldn't say brilliant, just meh, middle of the line. Now let's see what's next. Cameo. Fabio's going to hate me for this, but I don't think Cameo is that great a game. It's clunky, it's awful, it's one of Rare's worst games in modern times in my opinion. Just my opinion. I just never got on with Cameo. Like, I like the Banjo-Kazooie games and stuff. I like Conker. I like Nuts and Bolts. I don't like Cameo. And I don't know why. I went back to it on the Rare replay and I just could not get myself into it. So we will have to see what happens there when Fabio watches this. Okay, next up, let's see. We're going to go with Quake 4. Absolutely awesome Quake game. Not the best Quake game, but at the time at launch it looked fantastic. And I said this recently on the podcast episode. Quake 4 was one of the main reasons I bought a 360 at launch, because it just looked absolutely amazing. We've also got Gun, one of my favourite sort of cowboy games. doesn't get enough love. It got like the one game and it never got a sequel. Obviously, later in the gen, Red Dead Redemption sort of took its crown, but Gun is like more of an action, faster paced, in my opinion, than the sort of ploddingness of Red Dead. Really good. If you can get a copy of it, I highly recommend it. It is and also on the OG systems like OG Xbox, PS2 and stuff like that, but the 360 version, like all these games at the time, it just looked better. It had like a better resolution, better textures and stuff like that. Basically the same game though. Perfect Dark, it's in with Cameo, Ridge Racer. This is another one of those missed shots by Rare. Perfect Dark Zero was so much worse than Perfect Dark, and I played a lot of Perfect Dark Zero at launch. It was one of the few games I had at launch, because like nowadays I've got a well-paying job and disposable income. When I was younger, like I say, I had to sell consoles to buy another console. I only had a couple of games, so I played them to death. I did get Perfect Dark Zero, and I played it, and I enjoyed it at the time, but it's not very good, and it's got a weird control scheme, and it doesn't hold up at all. You may as well go back and play original Perfect Dark over that. Condemned, awesome game. Scares the hell out of me still to this day. It's got so many jump scares in it and stuff like that. Really good, really awesome game. Shame they haven't done a third one. They did the sequel and they never sort of did another, and I feel like it's time Condemned makes a return. Need for Speed Most Wanted, really good game, enjoyed it, fantastic. Would I say it's the best Need for Speed? No, but for a game of its time, plays and handles fantastically. Then we've got King Kong. Now, I really enjoyed the King Kong games, so it's going in awesome. This 360 version is the best version available, and King Kong was a really cool game where they had no HUD, so like it had no heads-up display, so you had to sort of gauge your ammo and stuff by like the visual and audio cues, and it was fantastic. It was literally like you were playing the film. Obviously it's not aged fantastically graphically to this day, but it is still a really great little FPS to play. And then later on you even get to play as King Kong himself, like running around smashing things up and stuff like that. Really cool. It was like a highlight of the launch in like terms of sort of tie-in games and stuff like that in that first year, and it did sort of set the bar for tie-in games. It's just a shame everyone's sort of forgotten about it nowadays. And then finally we're going to go on to Tony Hawk's, I believe it's American Wasteland is the full title. Superb. Honestly, this was one of my favourite Tony Hawk's. It's not as good as Underground 2. It misses a bit of that Jackass charm, but it has like the open world aspect where you can sort of ride to each area. Obviously there is a loading screen or like a loading area between each of the sort of semi-open world sections, but all in all it's a fully connected environment that you can travel around. It also introduces BMX to Tony Hawk's. I played this for hours and 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 hours. Like, I was a huge Tony Hawk's fan on the PS1, PS2, and then this got me back into it on the 360. It's a shame that none of them after it ever really captured that high. It's like it hits off like a home run at the beginning, and then it slowly got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and then we got plastic boards and everything and stuff like that. But yeah, not a bad lineup for a new console. Not perfect by any means, but a fair few games you could easily play here. Like Call of Duty 2, you had a perfect shooter, a perfect racer, and then a sports game. Then you had a handful of amazing games underneath it. And then for all you like yearly sports fans who love your FIFAs and your NHL and your Maddens and your Tiger Woods and stuff, there was all that as well. So not bad, not perfect by any means. But like I say, this was the launch of my favourite console, and like I say, it launched with one of my all-time favourite games on it, Call of Duty 2. So I cannot complain at that launch at all. Now, let us know in the comments if you guys have played any of these. Which were your favourites at launch? Which ones don't you like? Do you agree with me? Do you not? If you don't, I don't care. It's just my opinion. And also leave a comment, let us know what other sort of tier list you want to see us do in the future. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for being members of our channel. It means an absolute ton to us. And come back next Saturday for another members video. Bye for now.